Welcome to Tax Insights, presented by Hawkins Ash CPAs.
Good morning, listeners, and welcome back to Tax Insight here on WOMT. Jeff, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Terry.
How are you?
Doing well.
Excellent. Jeff, today we're talking about Form 1099.
We are, because with all the talk in Washington, about the IRS looking at implementing bank monitoring, I just want to remind people about the current reporting requirements when it comes to that Form 1099. As business owners, you probably know that you're required to send 1099s to your vendors, and your customers may be required to send them to you. So for any Form 1099s that are required to be sent, they're due by January 31st. So that's still a ways out, but I figured let's talk about it today.
So who does a business owner need to send Form 1099 to?
If you paid a company up to $600 or over $600 for rents, services, a prize of some kind, maybe even director's fees, those kind of items must be reported on a 1099. But what a lot of people don't know is if you have an employee who passes away before they get their last paycheck, those wages also go on a Form 1099.
So do all business owners need to send 1099s then?
As long as you're, what's considered a trade or business. So you actually operate a business. This isn't just a passive activity. And then, yes, you do, regardless of your size. So whether you're a corporation, a partnership, or a sole proprietorship, you have to send 1099s to your vendors. And even some rental property owners who treat their business or treat their rentals like a trade or business, let's say they have a whole bunch of them, they should send 1099s to their vendors.
What about exceptions? Because I know sometimes there are always exceptions.
There are. So I said earlier that a corporation needs to send out a 1099, but there's a kind of a quirk in the law that says if you are a business and your vendor is actually a corporation, you don't need to send 1099s to them because they're corporations. Also, payments for inventory or merchandise, and when you buy like an asset, those type of transactions, you do not need to send a 1099 for.
So how do you know if a company is actually a corporation?
You want to send them what's called a Form W-9, and it's a request for taxpayer identification number and certification. So what this form does is it shows the vendor's name, address, identification number, all that stuff that you're going to need to do to get the 1099 prepared, but it also shows what kind of entity they are. And like I said, if they're a corporation, then you do not need to send a 1099 to them. Now, the reason why I want to talk about this today is because right now is the time that you should be getting those Form W-9s to figure out who you need to send 1099s to at the end of the year, so you're not scrambling as it gets closer to the due date.
So what do you have to include then on this?
Everything. So any kind of fees that you charge, if you reimburse them for expenses, all of that information has to be reported on the 1099. Assuming that total amount is over $600.
So last question here, Jeff, because time is running up, but what if you do not send this form? What happens?
So the IRS is looking at this a lot closer than they used to. So right now, fines are, between $50 and $250 depending on timing. But the problem is that penalty keeps running, and it's per 1099s. So the maximum penalty that they can assess is like $1 million. So like I said, the IRS is really taking this seriously. The other thing that can happen is if the IRS ever came in and audited your business and you didn't send out 1099s to your vendors, they could literally disallow those deductions. Now, it doesn't happen very often, but if you get an IRS auditor that really wants to put it to a business, they could certainly disallow those deductions.
Jeff, great information each and every week here on the program. How do listeners connect with the team at Hawkins Ash?
They can reach us at our website, which is hawkinsash.cpa, or follow us on Twitter or like us on Facebook.
And we'll talk to you next week here on WOMT.
This has been Tax Insights, presented by Hawkins Ash CPAs. Learn more online at hawkinsashcpas.com. Hawkins Ash CPAs, part of your business, part of your life.